Hey everybody, it is Mike Petralia, Trags, back with the latest installment of the Jungle Roar podcast on the CLNS Media Network, and as always, powered by our great friends at Prize Picks. Back with me here on the Jungle Roar pod, actually making his debut, is Yanni Tragellis. I've been working with him on Local 12, covering the Cincinnati Bengals and the first week of training camp down at Paycor Stadium, or should I say the Kettering Health practice fields. And Yanni takes some time out of his very busy and hectic afternoon to talk some Bengals. Yanni, welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me on. I don't know if I would say busy and hectic, not working as you do, Trags, just trying to keep up, learn from the best.
No problem at all. Let's get right to it. The biggest takeaways, I think, Yanni, has been the way the defense has played. The way they've gotten into Joe Burrow's grill a little bit, the way Dexter Lawrence has handled Ted Karras. I think by Ted Karras' own admission on Saturday, better effing bring it every single day against Dexter Lawrence and this new Bengals defensive line, or you're going to get it handed to you. And frankly, I thought the Bengals, again, kind of got it handed to them again on Monday, at least in passing situations. I thought the running game, Yanni, was very respectable, actually pretty efficient in the red zone. But the Bengals have got to get down the strategy and what they're going to do about having Joe Burrow under center more this year.
Yeah, that's been probably the big topic outside of, what the defense has been doing, has been with Burrow under center. And, we were talking about a little bit earlier about how much of it is just the new installation, or not the new installation, but the higher volume that they're doing this now. It's obviously the first couple of days of training camp, so you're going to have your miscues and mistakes. But we were talking about it, and I think we both saw the same thing. Whenever there's a guard pulling when they're under center, seems like there's some kind of issue there. The defense able to blow it up, and I mean, I'm sure it's going to get figured out in the next couple of weeks. By the time they face the line, their first preseason game on the 13th, I'm sure we're going to see a lot of under center in that first, when the first team offense is out there. And by that point in time, I imagine it'll be night and day versus what we've seen through these first 5 days of training camp. But I mean, if you can go under center, it's just going to give Chase Brown more deception, because now if they're under center, you can almost bank on it being a running play as it has been the last few years. So as soon as you start getting under center and starting to run the play action, pass the ball a little bit, I think it just opens up the offense even more. And I think we've seen it when, like you were saying, that's been probably the most successful thing that the Bengals have done on offense so far in training camp, is run the football.
Yeah, and I think that's not a bad thing, because we know we have a track record of 6 years of Joe Burrow throwing the ball, at least almost 6 years given his injury history. But we have a track record of 6 years of Joe Burrow being able to throw to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They need to be able to run the ball more effectively, run for explosive plays, dump the ball off to Chase Brown and have him turn a 3 or 4 yard dump off pass into a 35, 40 yard gain. That's what we need to see more of from this Bengals offense, for defenses to respect the versatility of what the Bengals can do. And frankly, I think that would help protect Joe Burrow, so he's not always relying on throwing the ball to get the ball downfield.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. If I remember, Joe had said, of course, 48 touchdowns isn't out of the realm of possibility. If Joe Burrow throws for 45, 48, 50 touchdowns, 4,500 yards, I think this is going to be a disaster of a season, unless they're, 17-0. If you're throwing for 48 touchdowns, I think your defense is going to look the same as it has the last couple of years. I don't want to see that. I want 40 touchdowns out of Joe Burrow, 4,000 yards. I don't need, a 50 touchdowns. He is breaking every single record in the book.
I know Bengal fans would like the best of both worlds. They would love the defense to be dominating, and they would love to see Joe Burrow throw up video game numbers in terms of the offense. And like you said, 48, 50 touchdowns. But you're right. The Bengals don't need that. This team is all focused about getting back to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. And I do believe all of the messaging early in camp in the offseason was right. If they can take better care of the football and not give their defense short fields to play on, I think they're going to be much better off. I want to not stray too far from the Boye Mafe, Dexter Lawrence subject that I really want to delve into here. So much talk was made of the acquisition of Dexter Lawrence and how that is going to reinvigorate and really totally revamp the Bengals defense in the middle of the defensive line. What we've seen in the first week of camp from Boye Mafe, to me, is transformative. If he can be that consistent kind of disruptor at the point of attack, look, Trey Hendrickson was one of the best pass rushers in the National Football League. We're not taking anything away from number 91. But that's not what Boye Mafe is. He can do it all on the edge. That's why the Bengals gave him the contract in free agency that they gave him. And I think what Boye Mafe is demonstrating is there's many different ways that he can disrupt the play at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and one thing that, as I was watching, even before they got into team drills today, just going against, the trash barrels that they have, drills, and then ultimately, once they got to 11v11, I kind of started paying attention to the gap integrity just seems like it's completely different than it has been in years past. I mean, you're watching these linemen as they take the snap and go in, and they are where they're supposed to be. And I think that they ran into a lot last year and years past, and that's why you had the 32nd ranked rush defense in the National Football League. It seems like these guys just understand where they need to be. They're playing with speed right now. Boye Mafe, with all the different things that he can show with today, there was a lot of rushing the passer and blowing up plays. Last week, you saw him dropping out a little bit and made an impact on a lot of plays. I mean, he's just going to bring a whole different edge to this defense. And through this first 5 days, I think the big thing that I've noticed is they're where they're supposed to be, which obviously It's still early. And I think we talked about it a little bit earlier in the locker room, is how much of this is, oh man, this defense is legit. How much of it is just it's training camp. They're going up against that they know. For the most part, they know what plays are coming, what the offense is going to be doing in each session. And what did you say, about 70-30?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was 70% this defense is legit, and this defense is the reason the offense is playing poorly. And the other 30% is that it's training camp. The Bengals offense needs to pick up the slack, and they need to pick it up, I think, in terms of tempo. And I think they'll do that. But I think 70% of this is legit. This Bengals defense is much better than it has been in the last couple of years. What have your impressions been of Dexter Lawrence so far?
I mean, he is a mammoth in the middle. You obviously have seen him in like years past when he was playing with the Giants, went up against the first day when he walked in and saw just how large of a human it was like, this isn't. Then we've obviously seen what he's done to Ted Karras and the guards as well. Today is when I really started paying attention to how often is he getting double teamed. And it seemed like it was almost every time they're dropping a guard with Ted Karras. I don't know if that was maybe something after they watched the last couple of days, but he was still blowing through the double teams, and he was getting back to Joe Burrow in almost, snap of a finger right before he got rid of and I mean, I imagine that's going to speed up his clock a little bit. It's going to speed up other quarterbacks once they start playing. I mean, he is a game-changing piece to this defense in the middle, just making his presence felt in the pocket.
Is there anything he's done that you weren't expecting to see? Anything in his game that you see in person? Yeah, obviously, we all saw the highlights, right? For the last 5-6 months, we've seen highlights of Dexter Lawrence doing things for the New York Giants. And, he's a freak of an athlete. But have you seen anything up close when we've seen the 11s, when we've seen some of the personal drills, that you were like, wow, I didn't know he was that quick, or I didn't know he had that swim move, or anything like that?
That's exactly what I was going to say. The speed. I mean, I think I always pictured he's going to just be a bull in the middle, push the center back and, shrink the pocket on the quarterbacks, force them to back out of the pocket. But all of a sudden we see him getting on Ted last week and getting into the backfield for what would be a sack if he was able to hit the quarterback. That's blown away. Just the speed and the get up off the ball has been unbelievable to watch.
All right, he is Yanni Tragellis, does a terrific job covering all things Cincinnati sports and the Bengals for Local 12. It's a scorching sports summer, and you can make all of your picks on Prize Picks. Women's basketball and baseball are heating up, and every football preseason game kicks off this month on Prize Picks. And with big tennis slams and major golf tournaments on the horizon, there's no better place for all your summer sports picks than Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. The football preseason is indeed coming up next week. There's no better place to run your game than Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. We've got the star players on new teams and a rookie class ready to take over, all while teams look to get started on the biggest football season yet. Make a lineup with player stats, pick game winners, spreads, or totals, and combine your picks in the same lineup, all on Prize Picks. Now available in 50 states, including California, Texas, Georgia, and Florida. Download the app today and use the code CLNS to get $150 instantly in lineups if you win your first $5 lineup. Download the app today. Use that code CLNS to get $150 instantly in lineups if you win your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. Back with Yanni Tragellis of Local 12 and local12.com. Yanni, I want to talk about a rookie, speaking of rookies, that really stood out to me on Monday, and that's Colby Young. I think a lot of people were wondering, is this rookie out of Georgia via Miami going to be able to catch on with the Bengals, pick up the offense, and get over some of the shortcomings maybe he had down at Georgia? And would he be able to make an impact? On Monday, we saw him high point a ball from Joe Flacco on the sideline, beating Josh Newton. That was a terrific play. We saw him catch a slant pass in front of Tacario Davis in the end zone and red zone drills. He almost had a spectacular catch down the right sideline from Flacco, and that was on a pass that was broken up by Tacario Davis. So I want to get your impressions of what you have seen from Colby Young, and what are the realistic expectations going forward in this camp for that rookie?
Wide receiver 3. I mean, the ability for him to stretch the field is unbelievable. And I mean, the play where he high pointed the ball, I think, was that the one that was broken up? No, I believe he caught the one where he high pointed it.
He caught the one. We couldn't tell, Yanni, if he got both feet down in bounds. I think some of the people I spoke to said that he did. There was some debate about that, but still, it was a spectacular catch. It was athletic. It was over Josh Newton, but
unbelievable grab, and
it was still an unbelievable grab. Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, he's showing all the flashes. You know, when we drafted him, there were obviously the questions about him coming out of college with what had happened off the field, and there were a lot of those worries with that. But if there were not those issues off the field, I think he would have been a lot higher of a draft pick, and I think that's being shown early on in camp right now. Just the sheer ability that he has to stretch the field, and I think that's exactly what you need with this offense. I am curious to see if they'll be able to use him, you know, kind of on those more underneath routes, things like that, how he'll be able to adjust to that. I'm not really too sold on what kind of a route runner. Now, I was watching him work through some drills last week, so that'll still be determined. I think in the season games we'll be able to see a lot of, you know, how he is in game, running different kind of routes on the field. But I mean, so far, I think he's in that running for that, you know, fourth, third wide receiver spot. We'll see, you know, how that continues to ramp up as he goes against, you know, guys like Andre Yosivash and Charlie Jones, Mitch Tinsley. But I am also loving the back and forth that him and Tacario Davis are having. I think this could be really fun, you know, back and forth to watch throughout all of training camp as these two guys try to earn their spots on the field.
Yeah, and he and Bobo Davis also getting into it quite a bit as well. There's a lot of rookie chemistry, a lot of rookie intensity. You see this with any NFL team at this time of year, where you have a lot of young players trying to make their name and make their name in the right way. What did you make of the scrap last week between DJ Turner and Jamar Chase, and eventually Jalen Davis obviously poked his head into that as well? What did you make of all of that?
I loved it. I didn't think it was going to happen for a week or 10 days, but I mean, why waste time? Just get right into it. It's football season. Fights are meant to happen in training camp. I mean, it's hot. I guess it hasn't been that hot, this summer in Cincinnati.
Today was a breeze. I mean, literally, today was so comfortable.
Yeah. It was perfect, and I guess that's why I don't think I missed any sort of scraps or back and forth. Nothing nasty going on today.
Funny you mention that. Let me just jump in here. There was Dylan Fairchild and, of all people, Dexter Lawrence, and it was after a run of Chase Brown to the pylon. He didn't quite get there. He was, I think, pushed out at the 2-yard line.
Was this the play where Burrow motioned out?
Yes, it was. It was a direct snap. That's exactly what it was. Yes, good call, Yanni. Direct snap to Chase Brown. And he got pushed out of bounds at the 2. And then I'm noticing away from the play as, the offense and defense are making their way back to their respective huddles. And I see Dylan Fairchild starting to trash talk Dexter. And all of a sudden, and I don't know if you saw this too, Brian Cook walks up in front of Fairchild and kind of to keep him really quiet. And I think diffuse anything that might happen. It's one thing if DJ Turner and Jamar Chase go at it, and that was bad enough, okay? You never want to see punches thrown or guys flailing or flinging helmets. But if you get a guy like Dylan Fairchild and Dexter Lawrence, arguably your most important defensive player, the last thing you want to see is the big guys mixing it up and one of them to get hurt, right? Is it safe to say
the get
that?
hurt part, yes. Yeah, the get hurt part, yes, but I love it. And before practice, I was talking to I forget who I was speaking to, but I was watching the O-line down in the corner of the thing.
Right.
And I was just saying, we don't really talk about Dylan Fairchild very much. And that's a good thing, I guess. A second-year player in the NFL, you went right into the starting spot, and there haven't really been many issues with you. You've done your job. We're a part of an offensive line at the end of last season that was playing really well. So I don't know. I think, going out, the new big trade and signing with Dexter, the young guy getting under his skin, I think that's good for competition, for them to, have a little back and forth. Obviously, you don't want the injuries, but I like it. I respect it. Him going at Dexter Lawrence, saying I'm not backing down from you. I'm here in the NFL. I'm a worthy starting. Dexter Lawrence has gotten the best of the offensive line through the first 4 days. At that point, he was, maybe trying to get under his skin, get a little fire for the offensive line.
Another guy that stuck out to me, Yanni, today on Monday, down at Bengals training camp, first day of full padded practice, was Erick All Jr. He's been through so much. To see that tight end engage with Boye Mafe on a run by Samaje Perine and seal the backside of the containment block and not allow Mafe to get in and penetrate and tackle Perine, who went in and scored in the low red zone, really impressed me. And I can see now why Zach Taylor, when he came up with that expression in the offseason, when you look up toughness in the dictionary, there's a picture of Erick All Jr. He has that kind of football that reaches through your soul and hits you. I'm paraphrasing poorly, I might add. But to see him be able to do that, see Erick All in action was really something that stood out on Monday to me.
I mean, it's unbelievable to think you tear your ACL twice, a year apart, almost to the day, and now almost 2 years that to be on. I would think about 90% of people after a second ACL a year apart, that would be it for them. Their career's over. I think there was a lot of fear that might happen to Erick All, and he's come back on the field, and I mean, he is going to be a key part of this offense. And I don't think if you were to ask someone a week after he tore his ACL during the rookie year if that could ever happen, I think 95% of people would say no, he's done, or he'll never be the same. And he looks just about the same at this point.
I guess the lesson to be learned here, Yanni, is I guess we could all afford to be hit by a 3-wheel truck while we're vacationing in Greece. I heard that story and I'm like, he can't be serious. Like, you really got thrown to the ground? And he's like, that's the first time in my life I've ever been pancaked. And when you hear Erick All talk, there's a genuine, unmistakable innocence about Erick All. He smiles. He's very happy. You don't get the impression, and Yanni, maybe you're different. Maybe you read him a little differently. We all read people differently. But when he speaks, I don't see that anger. When he plays angry. And it's a remarkable transformation when he steps on the football field.
Yeah, I mean, it's the saying, when in between the lines, he's just a different animal. And I feel that exact same sentiment. We've talked about golf and things like that in the locker room. It's like, is this the same guy that is, taking heads on the field? I mean, it's an unbelievable difference. I have to say, being Greek, I've vacationed there, a decent amount as a kid. I've never even seen those 3-wheel things. And then I saw someone had clipped the interview and took the picture of it because I was thinking, what is this 3-wheel truck? I was thinking of, those little, like bikes that ride by.
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking it was one of those. I'm like, they have those in Greece. And then I saw that. I was like, you know what? That checks out.
I just can't believe he survived that and didn't get re-injured. And that's, he told us when that happened in June in Greece, he was like, I'm ready. I know I can take anything now in the National Football League, which is, I think the silver lining to what could have been a very ugly cloud for the Bengals had that accident in Greece gone the wrong way, but it didn't. He feels like he's been given a clean bill of health, not only by the team, but by the football gods. So it's really a remarkable story. Keep an eye on Erick All Jr. This year. He could easily wind up in the starting tight end rotation for Zach Taylor, Dan Pitcher, and the Bengal offense, depending on what they want to do with Drew Sample, obviously, and Tanner Hudson, and obviously Mike Gesicki, who, by the way, on one of the times that Joe Burrow got rushed on Monday, Burrow threw a beauty of a pass, kind of as an outlet pass, although Gesicki was downfield. But Burrow threw a great pass to him for like a 20-yard completion, even though Burrow was under intense scrutiny. Give me 2 minutes on your impressions of Joe Burrow and how concerned you are at the way he has started camp. Or not concerned, obviously.
Yeah, I was going to say not concerned whatsoever. Obviously, I'm more happy with what I'm seeing out of the defense. I'm being able to pressure Joe Burrow, and I think this is going to do well for him. He always talked about in the past how he wants more reps in the preseason. He wants to feel somewhat of a rush. Obviously, he knows that they're not going to hit him now in practice, but I think this is going to do wonders for him once the season actually begins, because I think in part he in the past few years has had basically open practice when he's on the practice field. He's not feeling anything. We've had 11 on 11 sessions where it's 5 for 5, 5 for 5, 5 for 5 every single time. And it's like, are you really getting better here? I think the struggle here is going to pay off once they're
I think
in the
that's a
actual
great point.
field of, yeah. And they are, I mean, he's not going to be 100% in games, obviously, but I think what he's seeing right now, the different looks that are being thrown at him by Al Golden and his defense, I think it's just going to almost calm him down, slow the game down when he gets into it, which I'm sure it are, but it's going to take him to another level, I believe.
All right. Anything else on your mind from the first 5 days of Bengals training camp?
No, I mean, I think we hit it all. Boye Mafe, as you were talking about earlier, I mean, he has been – Dexter Lawrence has stolen the show, of course, because he's Dexter Lawrence. But I've been blown away watching Boye Mafe, all the different ways that he's able to play defense. It was obviously talked about from the day that they signed him that, you know, he'll drop into coverage a little bit. He'll rush the passer. But seeing it in person on the practice field has been fun to watch through these 5 days. Myles Murphy today, I think, was his maybe best day as a member of the Cincinnati Bengals. Him and Boye Mafe working together are just another piece and way that this defense can attack in 2026, I think.
You speak of Myles Murphy, and we spoke about this on the Local 12 recap of Day 5 training camp at Paycor. Is he playing with an edge, a chip on his shoulder? Can you see that in the first 5 days of training camp from Myles Murphy?
Absolutely. And you had brought up how they didn't give him the fear option. They basically told him, play football and go get yourself a contract at the end of the season. And I think that fueled him, I would imagine. And so far through 5 days of training camp, it looks like he's a guy that he wants to get paid next March.
All right, here's Yanni Tragellis of Local 12. Yanni, before we wrap it up here, how can people follow your work?
Yanni Tragellis on X, Instagram, Yanni Tragellis on Facebook. But yeah, follow along Bengals updates every day with Trags over at training camp.
That would be me. So I look forward to working
Trags
with you.
First, he's second.
You're too kind. It's been a pleasure working with you this first week of camp, Yanni. I'm looking forward to a very entertaining and interesting remainder of the 2026 Bengals training camp as they get ready for the regular season. The preseason is coming up fast. It's going to start on a week from Thursday against the Detroit Lions. And then, of course, Bengals will have a intra-squad what do they call those camps of the practice against the Chicago Bears. Thank you. I'm getting old. Joint practice against the Chicago Bears on the 20th down at Kettering Health Practice Field. Then at Paycor, they have their final home preseason game against the Bears on the 22nd, 2 days later. And then they wrap up the preseason Friday, August 28th in Philly against the Eagles. Impressed that I know memorized the entire preseason slate?
I know you're reading it off your computer, Trags. Don't try to lie to me.
Can you see it?
What do you think? One series
mirror
on
of my glasses?
The first preseason. How much is the first team offense getting? One series, two series? What do you?
We can delve into that later, but I think that's a good question, Yanni. I'm going to go with they play the first quarter of the first preseason game against Detroit. That's what I think. First quarter of the first preseason game. So I'm going to say three.
I'm going to go with drive.
I think
I'm going to say a series, and then they're going to say.
I think they're going to get a full quarter in.
We'll do a little lunch bet on that.
We will. I think I still owe you something, don't I? Or do I? Oh, no. You lost your bet. Sixers and Celtics. We can get into that another time, and we will. Trust me.
Is it not enough that you took Jaylen Brown from me? Now you want lunch too? Trags, come on, man.
Oh, Yanni, it won't be that long of a summer. He's Yanni Tragellis Be sure to follow him on Local 12 and local12.com. My name is Mike Petralia, Trags. Be sure to follow my work at CLNS Cincy with a Y.com. Want to thank our terrific sponsor as always. That would, of course, be Prize Picks and the great team at CLNS Media. You know the drill. Until next time, keep that jungle roaring.